All right, today I quickly just want to talk about a phrase that you might be using that you don't even realize that is holding you back. I hear this phrase maybe more often than you might think in the groups I run or with mentees, and it is the phrase, can I? So, do you use this phrase? You might. So, how I typically hear it is with film photographers, and they are very well meaning, and I totally understand the place that is coming from. They want to know, can I do X, Y, or Z with my film? And that place is they don't want to misrepresent themselves as a film photographer if they're doing something they quote unquote shouldn't. Okay, so I want to table the film specific talk for a little bit because I do want to talk about what it means to work with film and be a film photographer. But it doesn't matter what medium you use, whether it is film, digital, mixed media, painting, drawing, what have you. If you ever utter the phrase to yourself or others, can I want to say this. Yes, you can. You can, and you should. Because before whatever medium you use, you are an artist. Okay, and that might make you a little uncomfortable. You might be like, but Amy, I'm not an artist, blah, blah, blah. No. Yes, you are. So I want you to repeat after me. I am an artist, okay? So I want you to say it out loud. It might be a little uncomfortable. You might feel a little awkward, but that's okay. We don't run from discomfort as artists. We run toward it so that we can work through it, right? That's what art is. Not always, but sometimes. So repeat after me. I am an artist. Okay, good. I love that you did that. I hope that, somebody heard you, made you feel a little awkward. I think that's great. So, like I said, first and foremost, you are an artist, and the tools you use are almost irrelevant to creating your art. Your story needs to get out into the world, and it doesn't matter what tools you use as long as it's helping you create the art that you need to create. So if you are like, oh, I always use film, but right now I want to use my phone to create something, like the camera on my phone, great, do it. Then that's the tool you need to use to create your art. Art doesn't matter more or less depending on the medium. Art is art. And if you are creating art that you resonate with more deeply when you use a certain tool or do something to it, then absolutely not only can you, but you should. So I am primarily a film photographer, but not because I think it's some sort of superior form of photography. It's just the medium with which I connect the best. I love that I can do things to it like light leaks or film soup or blind doubles or expose both sides of the roll. That to me is a process where I feel like I am able to kind of let go and let serendipity and synchronicity enter into my art. So I connect with it more. That's why I use it. But I will look at digital photographers who just like create these really gorgeous images. And I'm like, I wish I could do that, but I can't. And that's okay because I am able to tell the stories I need to tell using the techniques I use. And then if I'm not able to and I need to add on a new technique, then I do that too. We are constantly evolving and growing. As long as you are staying true to the art that is trying to come out of you, you can. And it should be in pursuit of creating that story from within that you run and you embrace different techniques or styles or play or whatever needs to be done. But I do want to specifically talk about film because I think that this is a misconception, especially with newer film photographers, that if you do something, if you use Lightroom, then no, you're not allowed to do that because now you've messed with your film image. And I also get that because there are people online who will say, oh, real film photographers don't use Lightroom or they only, maybe mess with exposure, but they don't do anything else or things like that. You'll hear all sorts of stuff on the internet though, okay? So don't let other people tell you what you can do with your art, okay? So that's first of all. So even if anything I'm saying here, you're like, Amy, that does not resonate with me, throw it out because you don't need it. As long as you're not throwing it out because it makes you uncomfortable, but you're throwing it out because it doesn't empower you. So everything that you keep should be empowering you. everything that you toss, you should be tossing because it holds you back. All right. So as film photographers who are out there saying, oh, you shouldn't, I don't mess with my scans. That's because then it's not real film photography. Well, let me tell you something that might make you a little uncomfortable. There is no film negative to resulting image, like 1-to-1 correlation, okay? Film negative to final scan is like a create your own adventure, all right? So whatever scanner you use, whether it's the Noritsu, the Frontier, Epson, DSLR, could be something else, there are so many, you are already kind of beholden to that scanner's software. So somebody programmed it. There are certain colors that get pulled out. Certain scanners maybe have like tamer highlights or maybe more contrast, or who knows. But already that scanner is doing something to your image that is unique to that scanner. Also, your scan tech has a lot of decision-making power over your final image. So, and even as a scanner, I can scan the exact same roll of film with my scanner multiple times and get totally different results. Like a certain shift in it, all of a sudden the scanner will read it as like way more magenta or something like that. So there is no 1-to-1 correlation of this is your negative, this is your scan. There are so many variables that you are introducing into that system. So if you say, oh, my scan that I get is my final image, you're basically giving up your power to the scanner and whoever developed the software, and the scan tech and all these other variables. So you have handed over your power of your final image to all of these other people and said, okay, I guess this is what I get. This is what it is. That does not sit well with me. You are the artist and you get to take that image and do what you need to do with it so that it is the art that you want to put out into the world. Also, I think people who say this maybe didn't necessarily grow up with film or spend time in the darkroom, because I will tell you, in the darkroom, the negative was just like a jumping off point. So you'd figure out your exposure time, you could add contrast filters, we would dodge and burn, which are tools you'll see in Photoshop that sometimes people don't know that it actually comes from the darkroom, where you would dodge so that you wouldn't add light on that part of the image as much, or burn so you would add extra light on. There was all sorts of image manipulation happening. And in fact, my teacher encouraged it because, once again, you have more power over your image. You are empowered if you are using the tools at your disposal. It felt kind of lazy just to expose it and hand it in. You'd never do that. So don't hand over your power to other things. You get to use the tools you need to use to create the art you need to create. So can you? Absolutely. And in fact, you should.